Hello, here we're going to be looking at week 19 homework. I'm going to cover the first page here first. So now, all these different types of problems you can look as you look down through the column. You have a binomial, which means something that has terms in it multiplied by another binomial that has two terms. Right? You know with this, what our goal is to do is distribute all these different types of numbers. So some people use the box method to help them keep track. Arrows here. All right, so here's what I mean. Here's how we can be successful on this page. All right, so as we're looking at the first one, both terms in this other parentheses. Now, something that's going to be true throughout this whole page, right, for all as long as we are multiplying, right, regularly, but our exponents, the numbers that are with our variables, they add. Right, so here's what I'm doing on this. So I've got my 11 times. Now let's talk about our x's. It has an invisible 1 exponent, just like this has an invisible 1 exponent. When I'm multiplying, we did the 11 times this, I have the x times to give us an x to the second time. Alright? So now, when I do this 11 times, we get a 110x. Alright, so these are the first terms that we get. Right? So 11 times the 11x, well, 11, right? And there's 1x, that's all I have. I have an x there. And then we need to multiply. Right, and these are the four terms that we will be getting here. Now, when you do this, you're always going to get four terms, right? Because two things multiplied by two things, you can see our four arrows, will give us four terms every time. Now what we need to do before we can write our final answer is combine our like terms. All right? And that's the ones that both have a regular x with it. Right? We only have one x squared term, so that's going to be a part of our final answer. All right, we have the 110x plus the 121x. All right, those are our like terms. All right, and then we have plus our 110 there. All right, so we just took our four terms. Two of them were like terms. We could combine them into one here. So let me show us another example here, because this really just falls through this this pattern. All right, we'll come down here and we'll look at number 9. So once again, I'm thinking about multiplying this through. I'll do it from box method this time to also get some exposure to that. All right, so the way the box method is, take our negative 10x. All right, and I'm going to place them up top there. I'm going to take my 7x and write them along the side. Now what's going to be happening here inside the box is we're just going to multiply this. Right, so the negative 10x times the 7x. 7x right here in our box. All right, and what that's going to give me is I'm going to multiply. We get a negative 70, and then I have an x times an x. That gives us an x squared. So I have a negative 70x squared, and I continue to multiply on. Right, so I've got my x times my 5. You can see how the box method gives us the same terms as our FOIL method. And there's one x with it. Okay? So now we need to do our 11 multiplied by these different numbers here. So that's 11 times the 7x. Here's that spot. 11 times 7 is 76. Right? And there's an x with it, so we place it there. Now we have 5 times 11, which gives us a 55. So there's our 4 terms, just like we had 4 terms back from our first problem. So we'll need to write these out and then combine our like terms and see what we end up with. All right, so those are our 4 terms. Be sure to identify your like terms as such. All right, and then now we're going to be able to phrase our final answer here. Right, I got my highest exponent term first, my negative 70x squared. All right, I've got the 77x minus the 50x, which will take me to a 22x. And then I have that 55 there on the end. That's all this first page is. You should get 4 terms whenever you're using the box method or we're using our FOIL method, which I encourage us to ultimately get to, right? Start to phase the box out a little bit instead of just think about it as distributing here. All right, so that's the first page. So let's take a look at our second page now. All right, so second page here. We're going to still be following the same principle of whenever I multiply, numbers multiply as they always do, but exponents add. Now this page is different because it's not always 2 times 2. Sometimes it's 1 term multiplied by 2. Sometimes it's 1 term multiplied by 3. Right? Of 1 term being multiplied by 2 or 3 terms. Okay? So let me go ahead. I'll show us one like number 7 here. All right, so we're going to have to go through and distribute this 11x onto all of these other numbers here. So let's start off with 11x. I'll multiply the 11 and the negative 5. You get a negative 55. Now I have an x here with an invisible 1x. So x to the first power times x to the third power is going to give me an x to the fourth power. All right, so now I'm going to take my 11x multiplied by an 8x squared. So I'll multiply the 11 and the 8. And now I'll take my x times my x squared. The 1 plus the 2 with the x gives me an x to the third power. All right, so now I can take my 11x to the 9x. Okay, so 11x times the 9x, 11 times 9 gives me a 99. X times x gives me an x squared. So now we're going to take our 11x to our 8. All right, and so for this here, we'll end up with 11 times 8 gives me an 88. Right, and there was an x with this 11. There's no x with the 8, so I'm left with 1x on my 88. Right, now you may see here that I do not have any like terms to put together. Right, I have an x to the fourth power, x to the third power, x squared, and then just a regular x. So this is indeed our answer here already. Right, so there's nothing else to combine. So you can rewrite it in here if you want. Space is a little tight though. But be sure to this page here, since we're only one term throughout, you're not going to end up with any like terms. Now that's not a guarantee, but it appears that way as I quickly go glancing at these here. Right, so sometimes we have to multiply one. Sometimes you'll have it easier. You can multiply one term just by 2 terms. You'll only have 2 terms sitting here. All right, but be sure to follow that the numbers multiply, exponents add.